Hello and welcome to the PopCult channel with your hosts Tommy and Tyler.
PopCult is the place to go for all things popular culture, films, TV, gaming, and entertainment news. You'll find podcast discussions, reviews, video essays, and interviews with filmmakers all here on this channel.
And today we're gonna chat about Marvel. Not controversial at all. Should be a breeze. We've recently had the Doomsday cast announcement, so it's a good time to talk about, the current state of the MCU, recent projects we liked or, didn't like or didn't watch in some cases, and, what our hopes are for the franchise moving forward.
We give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
First thing was it a surprise announcement? The 6-hour live stream of all the chairs.
Is that what
the other day?
call? Is that what we call it now?
I mean,
showing chairs
I mean,
for 6 hours straight.
What else was it?
Honestly, I didn't really follow the live stream that they did. I just went on Instagram.
You didn't watch the 6-hour stream of the chair.
I wasn't compelled to do it. I don't know why, even though I'm a big Marvel fan. But I only just I went on Instagram a few times during the day, and I kept seeing these pictures of different chairs, and I felt like that was the announcement. I didn't know there was like a live stream of them revealing the chairs very slowly, and then I heard all these YouTubers and podcasters complaining that they had to wait around for something to happen, and something did happen at the end. Robert Downey Jr. was there, being like all cute.
Was that also a live event? Were there actual people there?
I don't know. I think there was just people putting chairs. A small one for Paul Rudd because Ant-Man, really funny.
That was the only good thing they did.
the last 5 seconds they brought Robert Downey Jr. out of his trailer and guided him into a room and be like, okay, say something funny. And he did. Is really good as always. Very charismatic guy. But let's get into this cast list.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that's gonna be, ripe for conversation and speculation and just fun. So we got Chris Hemsworth, so Thor, Vanessa Kirby, which is the upcoming Sue Storm in the Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah, I suppose you'd expect Thor to be in it, but I know Chris Hemsworth has spoken since Love and Thunder that he wasn't actually keen on coming back and doing any more Marvel projects because of how bad his experience was on that one. So I suppose, yeah, they had to bring him back. So I reckon they probably broke the bank for old Chris Hemsworth as well.
Do you remember when we went to watch Ragnarok in cinema?
Yes.
That was such a fun experience. I really love Ragnarok, which is a shame to think about Love and Thunder being so underwhelming.
Yes, you see, I do. I think Ragnarok is still a good film, but it's one of the MCU films that, as time continues going on, it gets worse, in my opinion. It's still very fun. It's like a very fun, good comedy, but when you realize, it was a slight adaptation of the Planet Hulk storyline, which is like one of the best comic book stories there is. It's actually quite.
And you make it about Thor.
Yeah, and I thought cool, combine those two stories and do a Thor Ragnarok story with the Planet Hulk storyline. And I remember it had like it probably has the best trailer out of any Marvel movie that's ever been made. I remember that trailer being so good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of like a lot of the MCU stuff. It's it does grow worse with time.
I don't know. The film itself is still fine. It's still one of the Marvel movies that I rewatched the most, just because it's so much and like just entertaining, man. But I agree with you that it kind of like signaled the trend of favoring a comedy over anything else, which
Yeah,
was a thing with the Marvel movies from the get go, but it really became an issue from Guardians onward, because Guardians is so good at balancing humor and drama and everything else, but like other movies are not as well balanced. So
yeah, and it
uh,
really changed the tone of what Thor's character was going to be for the rest of his, rest of his movies that he appeared in. Because, like in the first two, there was still some comedy elements in there, but it always came from him being like a fish out of water. And he was always very like serious and like Shakespearean.
yeah,
And that's where a lot of the comedy came from. But then in like Ragnarok, he's just like dumb and silly. And that's where a lot of the comedy comes from.
is I feel like that was a necessary reinvention because it felt a bit flat before.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is a funny actor, so
Oh,
they kind of
he's
like
hilarious.
played to his strengths. They played to his strengths. And then he was the best he's ever been in Infinity War, and then they ruined him again in Endgame. I guess
But
is
Infinity
like,
War, how serious is Thor's character? He's almost taken fully seriously in that whole film, and it's like he's very he's like very grief stricken, and
yeah,
yeah,
the humor
and you're right.
comes
I think
more from,
that is the best portrayal of Thor there's ever been in Infinity War.
of course. Well, I mean, Infinity War is the best Marvel movie, I think. So,
Yeah, yeah, I
um,
agree.
going down the cast list, so we had Vanessa Kirby, which, as we said, Fantastic Four, very exciting. Then, of course, Anthony Mackie, the new Captain America.
Apparently, he's
Um,
going to be the leader of the Avengers in Doomsday.
well, I mean, it makes sense. He's the new Captain America, so Cap is the leader.
Well,
Um,
that would make sense, but he just had a film that came out. He just had a film that came out, and it was an absolute box office disaster. So
That's true. Yeah,
I don't.
I went to see it. I went to see it like the weekend it came out, in a very popular cinema that usually is like full on these weekend screenings, and the um, the um, r- the theater was half empty on the first weekend. So that tells you everything you need to know about this movie's performance. And it was, a very subpar film as well, so that didn't help. It's not like a hidden gem. It's just a very boring, um, Winter Soldier light, kind of like trying really hard to be like the Winter Soldier, but failing. And yeah, just a bad movie, man.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see how prominent his role is going to be. He's like obviously he's one of the more recognizable faces from the sort of more recent spate of MCU films, but I mean, like to hold up as to be the leader of the next Avengers in the next big film, I doubt that's going to be the case, to be honest.
And I like Anthony Mackie a lot, but he's no Chris Evans, in my opinion. Which, is unfair to me to say because Captain America was probably my favorite character
Well,
in the
he's not
Infinity
Captain
Saga.
America. He's a good Falcon, and
Yeah,
that's what he should be. It's not, he should have never. They should have never forced the mantle of Captain America upon him. He was always a really good Falcon. Um,
yeah. Speaking of Winter Soldier, we have Sebastian Stan, who we'll see next in the Thunderbolts asterisk movie.
no, woo.
Are you excited about that? I am excited. I think it's going to be a good movie.
Do you
I
think
am
so?
hopelessly, yeah, I do believe this is something that we'll discuss later, I think, but like I'll get into it now a little bit. I feel like we are out of the bad movie zone. I think they got their shit together. I think they know what they're doing now a little bit more. I'm not saying every project is going to be perfect, but I have good vibes that they understood
And Captain America: Brave New World did that for you, did it?
That's the last bad one. Like, I am sure of it, because that's the last one that they made before the writing strikes, before they changed, people at the top of Marvel Studios, and they were doing all those horrible Disney Plus TV shows that weren't really TV shows; they were just long movies with lower budgets. Now they are going back to basics. They're doing less Disney Plus stuff. They're doing more movies. They're doing more exciting things. And I think Thunderbolts is going to be the first good Marvel movie since, I don't know. I don't remember the last good one.
Since Guardians 3, maybe.
Yeah, probably, which doesn't really count.
So you're just really excited to see Taskmaster back and Yelena, the Black Widow light. You can't wait to see those characters all come back.
Honestly, it's not about the characters, even though the trailer made it look like a really fun ensemble, kind of like Suicide Squad coded. I'm just really excited about I don't know, it feels like it's gonna be a little bit different, a little bit darker, a little bit more, I don't know. These characters are all kind of like hero adjacent, but not really. Like you have Wyatt Russell, who's also on the cast list, by the way, who played the Captain America kind of like replacement for a little bit, then went insane, and now is more of like a Black Ops kind of like agent, US agent. By the way, this cast list kind of like spoils the Thunderbolts, because we know that a bunch of people are going to be in this movie, so they're going to survive Thunderbolts. Florence Pugh is in this, Wyatt Russell, Sebastian Stan.
Isn't the villain from Thunderbolts apparently in this as well? It's the guy that plays Sentry. I think he's also in Doomsday.
I don't know if Sentry is going to be like the real villain of Thunderbolts. It's probably going to be kind of like a antagonistic force, because of course, they're going to have to go against someone at some point. But I don't know, maybe he's going to go to the good guy's side at some point.
Marvel doesn't know how to do what's the word I'm thinking of? Like what do you call Punisher? Like anti-hero.
Oh, like an anti-hero, yeah.
Yeah. Like Marvel doesn't
They have
know
to
how
make them too good.
Exactly. They don't know how to do that. And also DC have had the same problem. And I bet Thunderbolts will be the same. They won't do anything that bad.
I don't know, like, definitely, and I don't need them in this case to be like, oh, I'm just gonna shoot this civilian because it's fun, like this is not a Zack Snyder movie, but they're gonna be a little bit off kilter, a little bit weird, and there's David Harbour as the Red Guardian, who I thought was really fun in Black Widow. And not a great movie, but good character.
Slightly redeeming element of the film, yeah.
He's gonna be kind of like fanboying over the Winter Soldier, and that's gonna be super fun. I don't know. I think the dynamics that they are kind of like hinting at are gonna be really fun. I just need a fun popcorn film, man. Like, Brave New World was such a snooze fest. It was so boring. I was falling asleep. Like, and the worst part about that movie is that they spoiled the Red Hulk. You haven't seen the film, right?
No, but I know, like I know about it. Yeah.
So
like, are you
Red
saying they
Hulk,
spoiled it because they put it in the trailer?
like, okay, so my issue with the movie is that it's kind of trying to do this espionage, kind of like, political thriller, like The Winter Soldier, because The Winter Soldier was good, so we need to do it again. But doing this Hulk storyline without the Hulk, and Harrison Ford, who plays Thunderbolt Ross, who becomes the Red Hulk. I guess that's a selling point for the film. But then craft the movie in a way where he is clearly the villain from the get-go. The problem with this film is that you spend the whole movie hinting at Harrison Ford eventually becoming the Red Hulk, and it only happens in the last 20 minutes. So you that it's gonna happen,
Yeah.
but like you keep waiting for it, because that's the thing that you want to see, the fight between Red Hulk and Captain America, Falcon guy, and it never happens. And when it's going to happen, because you saw the trailers, you saw the scene where it happens. So as soon as he's at the White House and he's giving a speech, you're like, oh, he's going to turn into the Red Hulk now. And that's not how you do it, man. Like, they hid the fact that, Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were in No Way Home. They hid that the Hulk wasn't in Infinity War. They try to hide these things because they know that they're gonna have a big reaction in the cinema. But if you tell me, this guy's gonna become Red Hulk and they're gonna fight at the end, you're just taking the wind out of the movie for yourself. It's not
Yeah,
a smart strategy.
yeah. I mean, that was back when they could hide like major like good reveals in the trailers because they knew people would come. But now they, obviously that Captain America film
Yeah, they need.
went through like 3 or 4 reshoots, over many years. It was probably a completely different style of movie than what you saw anyway. It was probably
Again,
it was either maybe fully spy espionage thriller, or it was going to go fully into the realm of like Red Hulk and more comic booky style. And
yeah,
that's why that tonally probably didn't match up at all, because the film's a complete Frankenstein's monster of several
it was
angles.
a Frankenstein monster, and you could feel it. And that's another reason for what I think this is going to be the last bad Marvel movie, and then we're gonna get good ones from Thunderbolts onward.
What could possibly make you think that's going to happen?
Because Brave New World was plagued with these reshoots, and they had to change a bunch of things. There was a character who was like a Israeli freedom fighter,
Yeah,
and so they had to remove her.
Hasn't Thunderbolts gone through the exact same thing? I swear that's been reshot a lot.
Mm, well, I mean, reshoots don't necessarily mean bad movie. A lot of great films have had reshoots,
Oh
especially
yeah,
when
yeah.
it comes to comic book stuff. But like, Brave New World had an entirely new character in Giancarlo Esposito just appearing to be, oh, I'm gonna shoot you now.
Yeah, that was like a late addition
Um,
to the film, wasn't
he
it?
was, and you could feel every scene with him was shot on a soundstage or somewhere else, and months later compared to everything else in the movie. And well, anyway, this
Yeah.
is not a Brave New World review, even though that movie makes me mad. Going down the cast list, we have Letitia Wright, who's the new Black Panther.
Nah, she won't
And
be.
then she won't be. Paul Rudd, Tiny Chair. Wyatt Russell, as I said. Then Tenoch Huerta Mejia,
Is that
who's
Namor?
the actor who plays Namor.
Who gives a
Um,
fuck?
well, I mean, you have Vanessa Kirby as Sue Storm, so I guess they want to do that dynamic from the comic where Sue Storm kind of like falls in love with Namor. And
No,
I don't know.
they're not going to do that. And I don't think nobody's clamoring to see that version of Namor again.
No, I don't like
So
him
weird.
either. It was weird. I didn't like that movie that much. Again, very, I don't like, that was a whole other conversation about Black Panther 2, how they had to kind of like change the story halfway through because of Chadwick Boseman's passing. So you can't really blame the movie for not being, but the depiction of Namor wasn't the best for sure. Then we got Ebon Moss Backrack, which should be the thing, I guess.
Yeah,
Is it that? Yeah.
is the guy from
Uh,
the Bear show.
yeah. Who was also in the Punisher TV show as Micro.
Simu Liu coming back.
Finally coming back as Shang-Chi, which is a movie that I really liked and not loved, but I really liked it. I thought it was basically a Dragon Ball movie.
Shang-Chi, the film that brought us Marvel's Katie.
We got
I can't believe she's not on the cast list. How are they going to fight Doctor Doom without Marvel's Katie?
well, I want to know where Sir Ben Kingsley is at after being like a great supporting character in Shang-Chi. They just went full comedy with that guy. Then we got Florence Pugh, Yelena Belova, Black Widow's sister, Kelsey Grammer. Okay, here comes the controversial take. We got the X-Men back. We got Kelsey Grammer as Beast, which
Didn't he
we
already
already
do
saw.
Did he do a post-credit scene recently?
Yeah, you haven't seen that because you haven't seen the Marvels. I did, and I enjoyed the 5 seconds of Beast that we got at the end, and that's pretty much what I enjoyed about that movie. Um, but this leads into the X-Men conversation that I want to have with you, because we have Beast, and then we got um, Channing Tatum as Gambit, who we saw in Deadpool and Wolverine, and then we got Ian McKellen, Patrick Stewart, Alan
Alan
Cumming,
Cumming coming back as Nightcrawler. That's
Nightcrawler,
crazy.
and Rebecca Romaine, who was the first Mystique,
Yeah,
and then even James Marsden is back as Cyclops.
they're all gonna look so
And
old.
and I really want to know what you think about this, because I have thoughts. I have so many thoughts. But first, you go. What do you make of this?
Oh, it's a terrible idea. It's a terrible idea. I think, and this all is sounding like it's shaping up to be like The Flash. Did you watch The Flash?
Yes, I did.
And there's
Unfortunately,
a scene in it where he's like, he's running and he's doing the Speed Force, and we're like, it almost turns into like a massive like portal sort of thing, and we're seeing all these like
and
little
he's seeing all this.
flashes of like
Nicolas
different
Cage is there.
multiverses, and it's just like showing us flashes of like, like original Superman, and like all the like Nicolas Cage's version of Superman that never got made. All these things. And I feel like surely this has to be something similar, where it's going to be a little flash or like a 10-minute sequence where we see a lot of these characters, because I don't know how you can have Alan Cumming like playing the version of Nightcrawler that we know when he's like probably like 60 odd years old
60.
now.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, it wasn't really jumping on the ceiling in the first X-Men movie either. So
no, but I
I
remember
guess they're
him
gonna have
being
stunt
like,
doubles and
he was
CGI.
no, but he was pretty good. Like I remember him being a pretty good sort of
It
interpretation
was
of
fantastic.
Nightcrawler.
I
Yeah.
love that version of Nightcrawler, and I love Nightcrawler in the comics. So
Yeah. I think obviously there's more announcements that made are in this same ilk, but well, I think when you start cannibalizing your own franchise, when we're already going back into the early 2000s X-Men films with these references, it's like, no, it's like,
and
have
we've
trust
already
in
done
the
that.
have trust in the characters, and have trust in all the source material you've got, and cast new X-Men and get some new X-Men in this film.
I really need new X-Men. I don't need to see 90 years old Patrick Stewart in a 5 seconds cameo, probably like dying again like he did in Doctor Strange 2. I don't need to see Ian McKellen or Rebecca Romaine or James Marsden. I really want to get away from that 2000 era X-Men. I really want a new take, and I feel like we're just doing this.
The MCU didn't even create that either, and it's referencing all this stuff from so many years ago that they had no involvement in whatsoever.
And we've already say goodbye to these characters so many different times. They had, X-Men 3, X3, I should say, was the final movie in the first trilogy. Then, they kept doing them, and I really liked First Class. I think First Class is probably the best X-Men film. And then we got Days of Future Past, which already kind of did the old cast and the new cast meeting and doing stuff together, and that was really cool. And that was before the multiverse saga. It was before Marvel really hit their stride with the Avengers films. So it was really cool to see,
and it made sense for that franchise to bring back, go into the well and bring back its own old characters.
Yeah.
Whereas
they managed to make
that
it
same
not
thing.
make sense, unfortunately, with the timeline. But whatever, like that's just a Fox X-Men problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just honestly, I am so sick. I really want to see new X-Men. Last year we got the animated TV show, X-Men '97, and it was fantastic. It's probably the best animated thing that Marvel did. And I really want to see something like that, like a real X-Men movie with, like, the proper costumes. And I don't care about this, rehashed stuff. And I feel like, as you said, it's just gonna be, a little cameo just to say, "Oh, you remember this guy?" And I do, but I don't want to see him again. And I'm not like this as a minor character in a huge movie with 1,000 characters. Like, we are not gonna get a lot of time with these people, and I don't know. They're probably just gonna be, like from the Beast universe that we saw in the Marvels, and they're gonna have a little bit of a, you know, mm, conversation with our main Avengers cast.
They'll say
Be like, "Oh,
something. They'll say something quippy and something meta that takes you completely out of the story, and it's like, yeah, cool. Well, we've referenced X-Men 2 now. Let's move on.
that works in a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, right? Like I didn't necessarily love that film, but I did enjoy Blade coming back and Elektra.
Those I
Yeah,
thought
but like,
those worked really well.
yeah, it's fine because that's the kind of movie.
Yeah, and it perfectly fits the style of like the Deadpool humor. Those cameos.
So as we've already kind of established, I'm the hopeless optimist of the duo. So I do want to believe in the Russo brothers and the writers who already made Infinity War and Endgame, which are movies that I love. So I'm pretty sure they have the pulse on what works and what doesn't, and they're gonna try and make something that makes sense. But at the same time, I feel like this is a desperate move from like higher up, where they're like, "Oh, we need these characters back. We have the rights to them. Let's use them so that people are excited about this thing again." Which, in a way, is the same reasoning behind Robert Downey Jr. coming back. And this leads me to my question to you: what do you think about Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom?
Well, whilst we're still on the cast list, do you want to? We can just go on, because obviously there's some people who haven't been announced, and apparently there's going to be another one of these videos to come out, and there'll be a lot more people announced. But who do you think?
Of course.
Who do you think's not going to be coming back for it?
I mean,
because that's probably easier to say than who is.
Who's not coming back at all?
Is Chris Evans going to come back?
Oh man, I do not see them bringing back Downey and not finding a way to bring back Chris Evans too, especially when in the comics they've done the evil Captain America storyline with Hail Hydra and all that stuff. So they will find a way to have those two actors on screen together again, even though I hope it's going to be more of a Reed Richards Doctor Doom storyline. They can still have a variant of Captain America at some point doing something cool.
Yeah. So what? So potentially the only major character not to come back is going to be Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, because she's dead, and
and also
Scarlett Johansson
and also she sued Marvel as well after Black Widow.
Yeah, and rightfully so. She wanted a cinema release, and they didn't give it to her at the last second, even though it wasn't their contract. So I think she did the right thing.
What's another? Because obviously it's absolute cameos galore. What's another casting they could make that you'd find quite fun, or like that you'd quite like that they haven't done yet?
That they haven't announced, because I really want to see Loki again after the ending of the TV show, the only good TV show they've done. But yeah, he's been announced. He's gonna be there, and he's pretty important to the story because of his role in the Loki TV show. So I don't know really if there's anyone. I mean, all the younger Avengers are not in this cast list. I guess they're doing their own thing with the TV show or another movie. I really liked Kate Bishop, so the new Hawkeye. I thought she was the best new character, like younger like young Avengers kind of character that they introduced. She was really fun in the Hawkeye TV show, which wasn't a great TV show, but she was good in it, and I can see her as kind of like the leader of a new team of Avengers, younger Avengers, and Haley Steinfeld is really talented. So I wouldn't dislike her being in this, even though I don't really see a role for her,
Yeah,
especially with
yeah.
all these big names. She could be like, oh, maybe she can hang out with Spider-Man and Daredevil and Miss Marvel in some other movie. And that could be more a street level kind of like storyline, which I really wish the new Spider-Man 4 is going to be, even though being placed in the timeline between Doomsday and Secret Wars, I really doubt they're going to do a smaller scale Spider-Man movie just set in New York. Um, when you have all this multiverse shit going on. Yeah, so going down the cast list, we have a few more big names here. We've got Joseph Quinn as Human Torch. We have the new Falcon, Danny Ramirez. Lewis Pullman as Sentry, another character from the Thunderbolts that I guess is not going to die in the Thunderbolts. Tom Hiddleston as Loki, as I said, really excited to see him back. All these X-Men guys that we've already talked about. And then the last two chairs revealed were Pedro Pascal as Mr. Fantastic, really exciting. And then, of course, Robert Downey Jr. returning as Doctor Doom. So my question to you now is, what do you think of Robert Downey Jr. returning in this way?
I don't like it. Yeah, I mean, it definitely.
Oh, what a surprise! The cynical guy doesn't like the thing.
Yeah,
We're
I
really
mean,
nailing this dynamic.
it's a complete cash grab. I think he's getting paid like 70 mil for this movie, which is absolutely crazy.
It's insane.
And it also kind of depends how they do it in the story. Like, it'll be a lot better if he is a variant of Tony Stark, but he never was Tony Stark. Do you know what I mean? It's not. He's just Victor Von Doom that looks like Robert Downey Jr. from another universe. Because if it is just basically the exact same character as our Iron Man that we've known, and he kind of has that same mentality of, we want to put a suit of armor on around the world, and he wants to protect the world, and it's like, but he's willing to take people's freedoms away to protect the world. Is it just that taken to a bit of an nth degree, and he then becomes Doctor Doom from that, or is he a completely different character? Which I hope is the case, because I'm interested to see his take on Doctor Doom. But it's
just a completely different character that looks exactly like Tony Stark.
That's
Do you think that would make sense?
That I hope that's what it is, and he's not just a Tony Stark who becomes Doctor Doom. I hope he's an original character. He is Victor Von Doom.
But you don't cast the most, popular character from your old series of movies into the new Avengers movie and playing a different character, and you don't reference the fact that they look the same.
I know.
And
I know.
I'm not, and they're not getting Downey to play Doctor Doom with his mask on, like he should be. By the way, he should have his mask on most of the time.
How much is he going to have his mask on? That would be interesting.
But since it's Robert Downey Jr., I'm pretty sure we're going to see his face a lot. And people who know Tony Stark from their universe are going to be like, hey, wait a minute, you look like him, even though a little bit older and a little bit rougher. So I don't know. I feel like they need to address the Tony Stark elephant in the room.
Oh yeah. He's gonna be a variant of Tony Stark.
Who becomes Doctor Doom?
Who becomes Doctor Doom, and he doesn't become Iron Man. He becomes Doctor Doom in this world, and he takes that too far. That's what I think is going to happen. But I'm hoping he's going to be, more of an original character than that. He's not just going to be a variant, but it's definitely going to be that is the case. And it's not that I don't think Robert Downey Jr. can pull it off. I think he's such a good actor. But
Yeah.
we don't want to see that. And how far are they going to take it? You know, they're going to make him do the bad things Thanos did. Are we going to see him, you know, like murder half a planet? Are they going to want to do that to Robert Downey Jr.? Do you know what I mean? They're not going to want to paint their hero to do all these terrible things, or maybe they will. But it's like, why can't you just get? There's so many good actors out there. Like a lot of people like fan casted Cillian Murphy as Doctor Doom.
Oh, that would be good.
Yeah, I mean,
that would be really good.
There's so many options out there. You know, obviously he's already played a character, but you've got like Mads Mikkelsen would make a great Doctor Doom. Yeah, there's
It's
loads
too late.
of people.
It's too late for that. They keep wasting great actors. They got Giancarlo Esposito to play a nothing villain in the Brave New World movie, and they got Mads Mikkelsen to do the same for a Doctor Strange movie. I agree with you on this one, surprisingly, but yeah. Again,
I mean, how can that excite you? I mean, do you know what I mean? Other than the fact that if you're just so happy that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, but in terms of a story and like where you want to see all these characters go and like the arc of the whole MCU, like I don't think you can be getting excited about that.
Honestly, man, they got the result that they wanted. You know, people started talking about this, theorizing, what does this mean? You know, the excitement was back thanks to that announcement. People were just losing interest, and then all of a sudden, oh, Robert Downey Jr. is back. I have an opinion on it, which, you know, we all do. And I think, as you said, it depends a lot on how they do it. And it's the same thing that I said with the X-Men reveal. I do not care about seeing these characters again. I want new takes on these characters. I want a new, cool X-Men movie. You know, it's fun to do reference and nostalgia once in a while, but we need good stories, and these characters can tell amazing stories if you let them. So I am a bit disappointed that they would resort to casting. You know, like this is a stunt casting, like the most stunt casting I've ever seen. Oh, let's get Robert Downey Jr. to play another character.
Yeah.
So I would much rather have a new Doctor Doom, like an original Doctor Doom that is like, you know, is going to be introduced in the Fantastic Four film, which hopefully it's going to be amazing. That's the only thing that I care about. If the Fantastic Four movie is not great, I'm out. I don't even care anymore. They need to nail that movie. If it's not good, I am going to lose my mind.
Fantastic Four movies have never done well at the box office.
And I love the Fantastic Four. I honestly, man, like if they make that good and then they introduce an interesting Doctor Doom, probably in a post-credit scene or like as a minor character in that film.
I think
and then you know
that's what's going to happen. Yeah. I think he'll appear at the end of that film.
Do you think they're rushing this? Do you think it's too soon?
Completely. They, you know, Infinity War and Endgame was set up by like 10 years of build-up, whereas this is literally just panic button. Let's bring everything back. Let's throw all of our toys at this. You know, we'll even go back.
Yeah, but the last
X-Men
Avengers. It's so weird to say they're rushing this when the last Avenger movie was in 2019.
I know, but they haven't set any of this up. We don't even know who the Avengers are going into this film.
They were setting up a different story and a different character in Kang. And you know, the movie was supposed to be Kang's dynasty, and now it's not anymore. And Jonathan Majors is out of the picture, and they can't use his character in any way for some contractual reasons. So I don't even know if we're gonna get, you know, the Thanos light scene of Doctor Doom kind of like killing all the Kangs at the beginning of Doomsday and be like, now I am the evil bad guy of the movie.
I think that's kind of where I think I've heard that spoken about before as well. I think that's where they were going to go with Kang anyway. I think he was going to be a sort of a sub villain for this first Avengers film, and then Doom comes in and sort of takes over anyway.
Kind of like a red herring.
Yeah, but also that wasn't planned out well because there's people, I think execs at Marvel said after they saw Jonathan Major's cameo at the end of Loki season 1, they then rewrote him to play this massive villain for the next like phase of Marvel film. So again, like that wasn't ever planned either. So I don't think it feels like this whole phase has not been planned out at all, and I think maybe the first few films were planned, and since they've obviously not done very well at the box office, they've had to tear up the plans, write new ones, and they've kept constantly doing that. And now this is like the throw the theme park of movies at it. Let's just get everything we have, every last like bit of juice of like good credit we have from the MCU. We're going to dump it all into this film.
Yeah, which, Infinity War was that. It was a big theme park movie, but as you said, you had years of build up,
It
and it
wasn't
didn't.
though. Like other than like the Red Skull like reference, like what other
Yeah.
we don't ever get like cameos from like past
Yeah, it's not like all the
franchises.
characters are there for a reason, which is, what makes it great. But what I meant is, like all these characters that we meet, we don't really need to develop them because we've already developed them in previous movies. And this is just a big, action-packed finale of like, okay, let's go against this guy. And actually, it frees them time in the movie to develop Thanos, which becomes a great villain because it's basically his movie. But they don't have that luxury here because so many of the characters that they've announced we haven't seen in ages, and we haven't seen this version of these characters, and there's it doesn't work. I don't know. I'm again, as I said, I want to believe that the bad Marvel phase is over and we're going to get into a new Marvel renaissance from the Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four onwards. It's going to be great. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be fun again, finally, because some of the stuff that they've done on TV has also been kind of neat, in my opinion, lately. So I want to believe that they know what they're doing. But as you said, there's a big chance that they do not, and they just want us in the cinema, paying a big ticket and, buckets of soda and popcorn.
The first event, like Avengers Doomsday, will just do well purely because it's a return of an Avengers movie. But if it's bad, then I think in Secret Wars you might see a massive drop off. And then if it is bad, that is literally going to be the death of the MCU. I feel like.
Yeah, it's gonna be over after that for sure.
Because
Disney Plus slop.
Yeah, or you start and you reboot it and you get different creative people involved, and you can. The thing is, there's always such good stories and like source material just to start fresh and start again, and you could always make a really good comic book film. But it feels like this era of MCU is hinging on these next few films, and if they don't do well, then it's over.
Yeah, agreed. So good luck, Marvel, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely still pay a ticket and I'll go see the next Avengers film for sure, and I'll see Fantastic Four as well. But those are the only ones in the last, since probably Guardians 3 that have had any pull for me at all.
You are such a normie. You haven't even seen Agatha all along. Are you even a real fan, dude?
Once I had to watch the finale of WandaVision, I was done. I didn't watch any more Disney Plus shows after that. Actually, I did watch the first season of Loki, and which was also bad. So I mean,
you didn't like Loki either. I mean, that's a spicy take right there. People usually say, "Oh, Loki is the only good one."
It completely ruins Loki's character. I hate that story. They turn him into a little bitch. It's a classic thing of like what I said earlier. They don't know how to write a story about a villain, Disney, because
they bring it back in season 2. Watch season 2 before Doomsday. It's important. The ending of season 2 is important, and it's really cool.
He becomes
and
like
I thought
the time god or something stupid.
It's really cool. It's not stupid, man. Come on. There's stupid stuff in Loki. I agree with you. It's not a perfect show, and they could have made it about some other character, and people would not be this mad about it. But how they resolve the thing, how he kind of like sheds, I don't know. I don't want to spoil for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it's a good ending for that mini series, and I think we're gonna, it's gonna be necessary viewing for how we meet Loki in this new Doomsday movie. So, give it a chance, bro. And give a chance to Agatha All Along as well. It's pretty much fun. It's pretty fun. It's
Nah,
pretty breezy.
fuck you, man.
Man, I was surprised how much I enjoyed Agatha All Along.
I thought
I
you were
wasn't even planning on
I thought
watching
you were
it.
fucking joking with me.
Dude, I honestly, man, it's not a bad show. It's actually really it's funny. It's original. She is. You were complaining. You were complaining earlier about Marvel not being able to talk about, like, make projects based on villains
Yeah.
and like villain stories, and they always have to make them good. They don't. Agatha remains a fucking bitch the whole way through, and she is the like
But
she's the protagonist, but she is.
does the show know that?
Well, the show knows that, and they talk about it a lot. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not saying watch it if you're not like, if you weren't compelled to watch it when it came out.
Good, because
Um,
I'm not gonna watch it.
but I assure you, it's not a bad show. It's one of the best they did on Disney Plus, which is not saying a lot, but it was fun. It was breezy. I was happy to watch, a half-hour episode every week during October. It was, kind of like a Halloween thing. And honestly, man, she was fun, and they tied it back to WandaVision in a little way, and it was creative in the way it was. Basically, every episode was kind of like an escape room scenario of them figuring out a way to get out of somewhere. It was just like very wizard and magic inspired. I don't know, man. I don't want to talk about it too long, all along, but it was actually really fun. As was Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which is the new animated TV show about Spider-Man, as the title suggests, which I do recommend to you. I think you would enjoy it. It's really fun. And yeah, so they've been doing decent stuff. Daredevil Born Again is currently airing, and
What do
I
you
am
think
enjoying that
is
too.
what do you think is the best thing they've made since Endgame then?
The best thing they've made since Endgame.
Okay, and
Let me
also
check.
not including Guardians, because it was already like pre-established
Yeah, it doesn't
beforehand.
count. Doesn't count, because that would be my answer for sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Spider-Man: No Way Home came out after Endgame, so that's an easy second.
See, that doesn't count.
Easy pick.
That's a
That doesn't
Sony.
count. Like Guardians of the Galaxy doesn't count. Doctor Strange 2 was fine.
Oh, you're fucking joking, man. Come on, now I think you just don't remember these films.
Well, I haven't seen it in a while.
They had
but it wasn't.
The premise of the film is about the girl who can open. She accidentally killed her parents in a dimensional wormhole because she got scared of a bee.
Yeah, I mean, that's that always going on, man. What are you gonna do about it? It's classic.
Nah, Multiverse of
It's a
Madness
classic story.
is a terrible film, I'd say.
You know what? I agree with you. I only liked that Sam Raimi directed it, and there's some
There's
of
like a
his
couple
style.
there's like a couple good sequences which are reminiscent of
Yeah,
like an Evil Dead scene. Yeah, and that is it.
exactly. I saw those and I was like, oh, this is my favorite movie now, because it reminds me of the Evil Dead. Yeah, no, there were these few horror-inspired, horror-adjacent scenes in the film that I really, really enjoyed when I watched it in the cinema. Again, it's one of those cinema experiences that when you watch the movie again on your TV, it just doesn't work the same way. Yeah, so
it's a film.
I'm not gonna.
Yeah, it's a film with a couple good scenes in it, a couple cool scenes, and that is really it. Because I think if you scrutinize the plot or the characters or anything else like that, that film is absolutely dog shit.
It's true, and it's one of those examples of just Marvel not caring about what they've established, because Scarlet Witch is basically a different character here because she needs to be the villain of the film. And it's just it's
Even though
frustrating, especially for
they spend a whole Disney Plus series about covering her grief, and then but sort of painting her as a villain but making her very sympathetic and in the right, and then this one's just like, no, she's fully evil. It was so poor.
She was corrupted by the Darkhold.
Oh
man.
yeah, I forgot about that.
Oh, come on. Don't be mean for no reason. There was an explanation in the movie. There was a book that made her evil, like the Evil Dead.
It's a tough
that's probably
one
why
for
they
me.
got Sam Raimi. What?
It's a tough one. I'm looking at all the films, all the latest films, and you're probably right. Shang-Chi is probably the best one of the lot.
The quality drops so much after that because we got Thor: Love and Thunder, which is the worst Thor movie. We got The Marvels, which was so forgettable. Eternals as well, just interesting looking, I guess. Finally, a movie that looks like a movie, but the story was just so boring. Ant-Man: Quantumania was a parody of a Marvel movie.
That might be one of the worst ones they've ever made.
Yeah, probably. And then we've got the single worst Marvel project in all of time and in every timeline, which is Secret Invasion.
Oh yeah, but that was Disney Plus show, right? Wasn't it?
That was a Disney Plus TV show, which I watched, and I want the time that I spent watching it back, which I never say about anything because it's my own fault for watching the whole thing. But I was so captivated by how much of a train wreck it was and how they ruined Nick Fury again after ruining it the first time in Captain Marvel. It was so bad, and again just ending on this battle that no one cares about with horrible CGI.
Oh my god, yeah, didn't fucking Daenerys Targaryen from Game of Thrones, she has like everybody's powers or something?
There was
she's the Super Skrull. That was it.
She becomes a Super Skrull and she fights another Super Skrull, which is the villain of the show that you barely see in the whole show. And she comes into the fight. Her arm turns into Drax's arm from Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's one of the most like hilarious things that I've ever seen. Just tiny little Sarah Clark or whatever her name is.
Emilia Clarke.
Emilia Clarke, yeah, tiny little Emilia Clarke, just with a huge alien arm just bursting out of her, and like she even like makes a pose like a bodybuilder, like look at this muscle, man. It's so like embarrassing. That was probably the worst thing that they've ever done. Just nonsense show, wasting a premise, wasting the idea. You could have made a movie about this.
Kevin Feige threw his fishing line back into the pond, and you fucking came swimming right back up for that fish hook, didn't you? For fucking Agatha all along.
Dude, I always check them out. I check them out and I make my own mind. I don't follow, the big crowd, telling you what to think. I think for myself. Thank you very much. And what I think is that Agatha All Along was a decent little show, made for $5, and it was a lot of fun. I much prefer something like that, which is a bit original, a little bit of fun, to just nothing like Secret Invasion. Secret Invasion is a nothing show. It's just, we need to make this because we promised it at the earnings call the other July, and so we need to do it. Call Nick Fury, call Don Cheadle. We're gonna have one good scene where they have a conversation over dinner. And then the rest of the movie is just going to be just nothing. People talking about nothing and shoddy CGI, horrible makeup, a story that makes no sense, and the president trying to incite a world war against an alien invasion, and then the next movie it comes out doesn't even reference that, and there's a new president, and it's just, I don't know if it's worse that they don't reference it, or if it's good that they just moved on and they realized they fucked up. But I don't know, it's just frustrating either way, because you spend time watching this because you think it's in one cohesive universe, and it's never been perfect, not even in the earlier movies. But
No, but they
unless
were always they were pretty good with it at sticking to the rules and like setting stuff up, and you're like, and that's why the interconnectivity became such an like a key part of the MCU, because they did actually do a really good job of keeping it all in tune. And if there was something, if a major event happened in Age of Ultron, you'd be dealing with that in the next movie, like that in the next Captain America film. You'll be feeling the repercussions of those major events. Whereas, yeah, I think now, because the writing's got so bad, and some of the projects, they were firing, they were literally like everything they were making was a success. Back in those early phases. Now, they're very hit and miss with what's successful. So they're like, oh well, do we want to keep going down this avenue if nobody watched that? And this is a Disney Plus show. Can we put this on screen in the cinemas? Because people will have to do 10 hours worth of homework before they come and see this fucking movie, because they've got to watch this Disney Plus show, which explains how this character got there. Yeah, they've made it too convoluted. They should have never, the Disney Plus stuff should have always been like things like What If and X-Men 97, and you can maybe do some like Daredevil and some smaller series, but maybe it should have always been somewhat separate from like having any major effect on that like main MCU storyline, because you can't expect people to tune in for all the big movies and for all these TV series and keep it all cohesive at the same time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it's not a great show, but like the way they did it with Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that made sense to me, because Endgame ends with Chris Evans kind of like passing the torch, or should I say the shield, to Anthony Mackie's character. And then, if you've never seen any of the Disney Plus TV shows, you don't care about the Disney Plus TV shows, you go to the cinema, ideally you go to the cinema to watch the new Captain America movie, and Anthony Mackie's Falcon is now Captain America. And you're like, oh yeah, because in Endgame, Chris Evans gave him the shield, so that makes sense. You don't need to see the TV show, but the TV show kind of, starts with him refusing to take the shield and giving it away, and then realizing, actually, I need to be the one taking the shield, because if I don't, people are gonna take it who are not worthy of the shield, and so I need to take that responsibility about myself. And I learned this about race, and the fact that I'm a black man with the star and stripes. That's something that I need to come to grips with. I explored that stuff that I can't really explore in a movie where I'm fighting the Hulk.
That's
So,
because
so
nobody would come to see it.
yeah, and it's the kind of stuff that it didn't work. It was not a good show, and it ends very stupidly with
Falcon. Let's just say Falcon and the Winter Soldier, or just general MCU Disney Plus TV series, are not where we should be exploring the themes of race relations in America. I think.
Yeah,
I think
I agree.
these should be. They can obviously have an element of seriousness to them, like for example, the Winter Soldier. And it has themes
Yeah,
of like surveillance and like overreaching government agencies and things like that. But it's it doesn't take itself too seriously. We're not educating the masses here. We're not making Malcolm X or anything like that. It's silly to think that your audience is going to want to see that kind of story in a comic book film.
yeah, they are focusing on the wrong things. But what I meant to say is, you just tell an additional story that can exist within the two moments that you show in the movies without really impacting what the movies are about. Right? You're just like, oh, I need to come to grips that I am Captain America now. And then in the new movie, I am Captain America now, which is fine. Like it's a little additional story for those people who, like me, who enjoy having additional stories about these characters,
Yeah.
and not necessary viewing. They're just a little treat. Here is a new show about this character you like.
Yeah, unlike
Um,
WandaVision, which really like changed Scarlet Witch's character and Vision's
yeah,
character. Whereas like the next time you see them in a film, you will have really have had to have seen the series to understand what's happened with them. And or obviously in Doctor Strange 2, they just ignored it and
Yeah,
fucking
they
did
ignored
whatever.
it, and so it's even worse like that. But yeah, but I mean, Wanda and Vision were not the most well developed and fleshed out characters in the MCU, so you could
No, but everyone still
allow them
liked
to
them though.
grow a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no,
they
and
were.
yeah, and there was some. I think that was the show that had the most like promise and potential and like actual. The first half of it was actually quite good. I think that was
Yeah,
one of the best shows.
another show that promises a bunch of interesting things and never delivers. So let's hope, good shows coming out now, Severance, don't go down the same route of just, not having anything interesting to resolve their storylines. This was a fun conversation. I only care about Fantastic Four doing well. We'll see about Doomsday. Spider-Man 4 has been announced. We are recording this on the 1st of April. I don't know if this is an April Fool's, but I don't know. I guess Spider-Man 4 has been announced. It's called Brand New Day, and it's going to be set between Doomsday and Secret Wars. And they also announced something that I'm really excited about, the Beyond the Spider-Verse movie, the sequel to the first two Spider-Verse animated movies, which are probably the best Spider-Man thing ever, in my opinion. But the release date is in 2027. It was supposed to be 2024. So
Yeah,
this is a
that's
long
crazy.
wait.
And I'm sure that'll probably hurt the film quite a bit. They're going to lose a lot of the
Yeah.
momentum they had.
I guess the animators were treated really poorly in the making of the second movie, so they don't want to rush this. So they had new kind of rules that don't allow them to crush these poor people. So they're gonna work on it and make it amazing. I'm sure it's gonna be amazing, but 2027 is so far away. And I've already seen the second movie 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, and the second
um,
movie is such a part one. It's
yeah,
not a whole cohesive film. It does end abruptly as a part one. So it's a very
it's frustrating.
long break to have in between a film like that.
It's the kind of thing where you need the following movie the next year,
Yeah, 100%.
The Lord of the Rings or
And that
the two Matrix
and you've
sequels.
split it in two just because it was so long, not because of time constraints or production budget or anything like that. And then the
Yeah,
next part comes out the next year.
Kill Bill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%. But yeah,
So
I'm the same. I'll definitely watch Fantastic Four when it comes out. I don't have super high hopes for it. I didn't think the trailer was all that great. I liked
Oh man, I love the aesthetic that they went for. I am so sold.
yeah, visually, I think it's going to be good. But I mean, that should be a given with any MCU movie that costs 500 fucking million to make or whatever. I think I think it's going to be okay. Who's writing it actually? Oh, it's the director of WandaVision who's directing it though. That Matt Shackman.
And it's been written by a bunch of people. That's not good. Josh Friedman, Eric Pearson, Peter Cameron. Yeah.
Oh
I don't know
God!
these
One
guys.
of the writers from Agatha all along is on here.
There you go. They get the talent and they make them do things.
And Terminator Dark
Um,
Fate. Fucking hell.
I mean, it wasn't the writer's fault. The movie sucked, even though it was. Um, these movies, there's a bunch of writers, so that's not a good sign. But what are you gonna do? It's a big Marvel comic book thing, so
Yeah.
I'm
We'll,
sure.
we shall see. I like I said, I hope it's good because there's so many good source material stories for all of these comic book properties out there that could quite easily be adapted straight off the page and make a fantastic movie. But they never want to do that. They always want to add their own original spin onto the story, and that's fine because it's something, it can produce great results. But let's hope this one's going to be good.
Yeah, we should do a comic book episode where we talk about like cool storylines that they haven't adapted into movies yet and what they could do with them. But that's a subject for another time. I guess we've talked about Doomsday and Doomsday related subjects for long enough. We can go to the next part of this program, which is film and TV recommendations. So stay tuned. July is stacked. You got the new Jurassic World movie, then you got Fantastic Four, and then you got Superman. That's insane.
Probably my most anticipated film of the year is probably 28 years later.
Oh yeah, can't wait for that.
Which is weird.
Maybe we should do.
But I mean, just because the trailer's so fucking good, it's like the best trailer I think I've ever seen.
The trailer is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's this friend of mine who I talk about movies with a lot, and he never watches trailers unless, he's forced to because he's in the cinema and he's, being shown a trailer.
Yeah, yeah.
And I sent him the link and I was like, I know that you don't watch trailers, but please watch this one. It's so fucking good. And yeah, it was.
The most recent film I watched was Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. It was not the first time that I'd seen it.
The David Fincher one. The remake, I guess. Is that the right word?
Yeah, it was remade pretty closely after the first one came out, I think, as well, wasn't it? So yeah, 2011 the film came out. I don't think I've probably seen it since then. And I remember enjoying it back then, but yeah, I watched it again a few days ago, and such a good film. I think just David Fincher in general just makes the best thrillers. They're such well-made movies that you really, and like just the way his cinematography and his editing with all his films, they're so seamless, and you get really lost in the world, and everything feels so real. Yeah, I think he's like one of the best filmmakers. Yeah, it could be such a simple sequence of just two people sitting in a room having a conversation for like 10, 15 minutes, and just the way he frames everything, and it's just so engaging, and like he's so good at ratcheting up the tension. Yeah, this was a really, really great classic kind of murder mystery thriller.
Daniel Craig is also really good in it, isn't he?
Yes, yeah, he's fantastic performance. Obviously, like the star of the show is Rooney Mara, who plays Lisbeth Salander in it, the hacker. Yeah, her performance is amazing. And yes, I mean stellar cast of Stellan Skarsgård, Christopher Plummer, all playing this kind of, they're like this eccentric rich family in Sweden, who have hired Mikkel Blomkist, who's Daniel Craig's character, who's a bit of a disgraced journalist, to help them solve the mystery of a woman who's one of the daughters of the wealthy family who's been missing for 40 years on this like very small isolated island. Yeah, so if you haven't seen it, it's well worth a watch.
Yeah, it's really good, and the original movie and book are also worth your time. Noomi Rapace plays Lisbeth Salander in the original, which was also really good. It doesn't have the style.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the style of David Fincher movie, which it's I would say start with the David Fincher one just because it's just incredible filmmaking, while the original is more traditional, more it's not as bombastic, I guess. The American remakes are always more spectacle. In this case, there's also a lot of substance. It's not like other remakes which are just subpar adaptations because
it's
Americans hate subtitles.
Yeah, it probably had a lot more money as well, so it does just it looks like a lot better, a bigger production. And yeah, like you said, it's not just it's incredibly stylish, but it's still there's a lot of substance to it too.
Yeah, totally. I am kind of like disappointed they didn't really continue the series because there's a bunch of books from Stieg Larsson and then his son, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a trilogy
with these characters
of books.
Yeah,
and I know
so
they did a trilogy of the Swedish films, but
yeah,
I don't. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they never did another. Fincher definitely didn't do one anyway, did they? Did they do an American sequel to that?
I don't think so. I don't remember, but I don't believe they did. Yeah, no, they didn't. I don't see sequel anywhere.
No,
here.
and perhaps it didn't do great box office wise. But yeah, definitely like one of those films that I put back on and wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was.
The Girl in the Spider Web.
Yes.
But it does different actress, different everything. So yeah, as expected. Claire Foy. Okay, I didn't know.
Who plays Lisbeth?
The more you learn. Yeah.
Interesting.
Stephen Merchant is in this. Jesus Christ. Lakeith Stanfield. I need to watch this. What the fuck?
Claire Foy seems like a weird casting for
yeah, she doesn't look
that role.
She doesn't look the part at all. Weird hair too. What the fuck? But she had weird hair in the original too. So anyway. Okay, yeah. Great movie. So if you haven't seen it, definitely recommended by both hosts, which is rare, especially in this episode where we've disagreed on about everything. So good to agree on something. That this movie is good. I recently watched for the first time on Prime, Late Night with the Devil.
Yeah,
which was really fun.
Saw it at the cinema.
Really cool. You saw it in the cinema. I don't think they did it. They had a cinematic release here, unfortunately. And yeah, I watched it. I watched it on TV. It was really fun. It's basically, I don't want to say like it's low budget horror film. Kind of has a little bit of a B movie vibe in certain moments, but in a very good way. I'm not. It's not an insult. It stars David Dastmalchian. Did I pronounce that right?
Yeah, that's pretty damn good.
Nice. He plays this TV host in the late 70s. Is basically like his late night show is not doing super well. He has some tragedy in his life that I won't go into in case you would want to watch this. But so yeah, he decides to host a Halloween special episode, inviting a bunch of different weird characters on the show, trying to capture the magic of old seasons of the show and trying everything he can to remain on air. But one of the guests of this late night Halloween special is a possessed girl and her doctor. And let's just say that things go a little bit weird and horror-like in the film. So great performance by the guy.
Yeah,
David Dastmalchian.
Good to see him in like a starring role. I think I've only ever seen him in as like a side character in something, but he's always really good.
He was the polka dot man in the second Suicide Squad movie, the James Gunn directed one.
And do you know
he was also in?
Do you know the other comic book film that he was in? He had a very small appearance in it.
It was in The Dark Knight.
He was,
wasn't he?
He was the crazy
he's the
guy
who shoots the Gordon shoots Gordon.
Yeah, and then he gets like sort of interrogated by Batman. I'm pretty sure that was his first role actually. That
Yeah, he
in
has
Dark
that
Knight.
creepy face. He can be creepy, but he's very charming in this, which I found really surprising. Like, because he does play this weird, characters usually. So seeing him in the role of, you know, um, fun,
Charismatic TV host.
char- yeah, it was a bit surprising, but he nailed it. It
Yeah, it
really
worked.
and the kind of like off kilter weird vibe that he lets out, it does work in favor of the character in certain specific moments. So yeah, really good, really fun, a bit campy, especially towards the end
Oh
with
yeah,
what
yeah.
happens with the elements. But really recommend this movie. It's a breezy watch, an hour and a half. It's all shot as if it was found footage from this lost Halloween special. There's a little bit of a
Almost
documentary
all
style
shot like
intro
that.
at the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, well, don't spoil it. But yeah, so there's an intro that is like in documentary style, kind of like presenting this new look at this weird moment.
Black and white behind the scenes
Yeah.
footage, isn't it? Spliced in.
Yeah, they go from classic, and they have a little bit of a VHS filter, and the aspect ratio of an old 70s TV show, but they don't go all the way, which I found a little bit annoying. Like, they could have made it even more grimy and worn out. I don't know.
Yeah, and
It's
had
just a
like,
little bit of a filter.
and maybe had some cuts away to like the TV feed, like going off air or broadcast or something like that, and just
Yeah.
having static. Or
It doesn't really feel like old footage. It's just an aesthetic choice,
Yeah.
which I understand. You want to sell this movie in not only to weirdos like me, but I felt like
And then also
the aesthetic choice.
there's some like very cinematic sort of moments in it as well that are seeped in, which are
Yeah,
completely out of the aesthetic of the behind the scenes and the TV show. So it breaks that reality completely throughout the film. So yeah, and you could, I think it does it in moments that require it. They're quite like pinnacle moments of the story when we go outside. So I didn't mind
yeah.
it, but like you said, I think
No, me neither.
it could have been maybe even more of a unique film if it had kept to that style the whole way through.
I understand the necessity of kind of like changing it up and showing stuff that wouldn't necessarily had been recorded at the time, for the sake of the story. So it's understandable, but maybe they could have found an interesting and creative way to work around that and show different things, or like reenactments. I don't know, like in what you can see in one of those documentaries like
Yeah,
this. But yeah, like really fun, really interesting, original. I loved almost everything about it. The ending goes hard in the camp, which I wasn't necessarily expecting, but it works for the most part. Some of the effects are a little bit weird, but yeah, definitely I recommend if you love horror, if you like original movies, and great performances all around.
yeah. It's actually a
So yeah,
shame.
great movie.
With that final sequence. Yeah, I won't spoil anything, but it's a shame because I've seen some behind the scenes, and it's like most of it's done practically. There's
Yeah,
like some big thing this on somebody's head that opens up, and it's like
yeah,
that's all done practically, but they add all these like visual effects CGI elements around it, which kind of spoil the effect a bit. And yeah, I thought it did go a
why do we always do it?
bit.
They always do it.
I know,
They have a nice practical effect and they just put CGI on top,
and
and it just doesn't work
and it
anymore.
initially looked really good. But yeah, I think actually the film worked better almost as a dark comedy, and like more of a satire than a horror. There's not really any elements of it which are scary. There's definitely some tension that builds up. There's a couple good sort of gross scenes in it as well, but I think more for the most part, I found it really really funny.
Yeah, really funny and really fun. Yeah, just go watch it. It's on Prime.
Yeah, I'd definitely recommend. What would you give if you had to give it a score out of 10? What would you give it?
Good 8.5.
Yeah,
Yeah, or an 8.
yeah.
8 is good.
That's solid. I'd give it probably the same.
What about the girl with the dragon tattoo? What score would you give it?
Yeah, probably like a 8.5 out of 10. Maybe I'd give Late Night with the Devil actually like a 7 out of 10. And Girl with the Dragon Tattoo gets an 8.
You see, that's the problem with scores like this. That always, like, oh, if I give 9
Because
to this, then I
Late Night
can't
with
give 8 to
Yeah,
this.
Late Night with the Devil is not as good a film as Girl with the Dragon Tattoo at all.
Yeah, it's a completely different film. It wasn't even trying to be like that, so it's unfair to compare it. But it's a movie, so I guess we need to have a metric to determine the value of it. But yeah, it's good. They're both good in different ways. Go watch both of them if you haven't, and if you have, leave a comment on what you thought about them.
Yeah.
All right. Have you been playing anything interesting recently?
No, I haven't really been playing anything much at the moment. I'm somewhat looking forward to. It's already out now on Game Pass, but have you heard of Atomfall?
Oh yeah, I was watching a review of it. It looks fun.
Yeah, it looks fun. Looks like it's like a British version of Fallout. Yeah. So I
Yeah.
think in the next week or so, I might jump in and see what that's all about. But yeah, nothing at the moment. What about yourself?
You were playing Marvel Rivals, weren't you?
Yeah. Me and my brother still dipping in and out of that every now and again. It's just such it's a good little sort of just dip in for half an hour or an hour and just take your mind off. But I wouldn't. It's a very fun, well made game. It's very
Yeah, no,
good.
I agree. I just bounced off of those games. I tried with Marvel Rivals. I really tried because I like the concept of like a Marvel inspired kind of Overwatch
Yeah.
style game. But I don't know, like I'm just not good at them, man. I just die and it's frustrating, and I just walk around and I don't know what I'm doing. I just feel like an old man trying to play a game, even though I've been gaming all my life, and I consider myself to be decent at it. But these games just don't work for me. I'm not good at them. But I will try again.
People are so damn good at these things and just
Yeah.
dedicate their whole lives to it. So it's it's hard to compete sometimes.
Yeah, I tried it like day after it was live, and already people were doing insane things with their characters, and I was just like walking around as Wolverine, being like, "What am I supposed to do now?" So yeah, not for me, I guess.
But yeah, really well made game, and I like the ethos of it all. It's obviously all free, and they're dropping loads of free
Yeah,
characters, and it's all it's I think it will continue to be a success for a while.
that's always good. I've been playing Split Fiction with my
Oh
girlfriend.
yeah, nice. Like the It
That's
Takes Two same company, right?
Yeah, that's a lot of fun, but we are pretty early on, so maybe we'll get a review out when we finished it. But what is for me, unlike Marvel Rivals, and I wanted to briefly recommend to you and whoever is listening, is this little game called Nine Souls. Have you heard of it?
I haven't, no.
So it's basically like a 2D platformer, I guess, with very punishing combat. It's so frustrating. It's so hard. Like at the beginning, it's just like you die all the time. And has like, have you ever played Sekiro? Like it's one of those
I've not, but
From Software
I know
games.
Sekiro. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, Sekiro or Sekiro, I don't know what the right pronunciation is, but like it's very parry based combat, right? Like you need to parry to be able to attack,
You
and
fucking
it's
double rolling everywhere around opponents all the
yeah,
time.
exactly. It's basically 2D Sekiro in that sense. It's so insanely complex the way you can just destroy very quickly everything in your path, but also die. Like you are a glass cannon. Is that the expression? It's really
Yeah.
punishing combat. But basically, what I wanted to talk about is just how interesting the game is from like a world building perspective. It's like this world inspired by Chinese mythology. It's made by a Chinese, Taiwanese developer, and it has all these Taoist kind of like principles and themes and like aesthetic. So basically, you play as this character named E, who's kind of like a cat person. I know, just already losing you there, I guess. But like, it's
No,
like
I'm
a
looking at
little.
it. The designs look quite good, actually. It looks quite cool.
The designs are amazing. He is basically part of this civilization, like alien civilization of cat people, who enslaved humanity. You start off in like this village of humans, and they use them basically as literally just like stuff for everything in their like you live in this simulation. Basically, it's so interesting, like the look of the world and like the characters that you encounter. It's so original in my opinion, and it's really just once you get used to the combat, which is again really punishing, and the first few hours are just grinding to get a little bit better at it. But like you get into the story, and basically the story is this revenge storyline, where this guy needs to kill the 9 souls, basically take their soul seals, and do something, which you will learn what it is later in the story. And these 9 souls are basically these powerful deities, these characters who are in charge of this huge colony that was supposed to save these species of cat alien people from a disease, I guess. Not going too into it because it's a very complicated storyline, but basically at the core of it, it's a very simple revenge story where you go to a new area and you meet this soul that is like governing this area, and you need to fight your way through a bunch of mini bosses and monsters, and then the main thing is get to these bosses who are tough as nails, super hard. There's one specific boss that I spent, I don't know, like 2 weeks on. Like on and off, I would just leave the game for a few days and then come back and grind a little bit more. And it was so hard, so hard. And I haven't finished it yet because the last boss is kicking my ass currently. So who knows if I'll ever be able to finish it? But it's a really rewarding and fun experience if you are into that kind of stuff. It's kind of like Metroidvania. Explore, kill, find, grow your character, and very rewarding kind of like combat system and progression system. So yeah, really, really fun little game.
Yeah, no.
The reason why I bought a PS5, just a little 2D game,
What
I guess.
have you
But
played Black Myth Wukong?
I haven't. It's on the list.
Yeah,
Like everything.
I haven't played it yet either, but I was wondering if it's like a similar sort of mythology to that, or it's any of the similar sort of designs or anything, because that's a lot of sort of Chinese mythology, isn't it?
I think there's a lot of overlapping of like themes, and like you have things in this that are taken straight from Chinese mythology, but of course they are interpreted, like characters' names and places that like they're real places in the world, like in China and in Chinese history, but they are in this case reinterpreted through the lens of this alien civilization who is trying to basically conquer death, which is one of the interesting aspects of the story. Like the fact that you respawn every time. It's not just that you respawn because you died and you need to
It's actually
keep playing the
part of
game.
the story.
It's part of the story that you respawn because you have this flower inside, this power to bring your body back.
I always like that when games incorporate their like respawn elements. Have you ever played Sifu?
No, but it's on the list too.
Yeah, that's another game that sort of
They're making a movie about that.
Yeah, it's a very cool idea. Yeah, and I like it when games play on that aspect of the respawn element.
Yeah, and it's also something that you probably would enjoy. It's really gory, like unexpectedly based on the art style, right? Like there's some scenes where these characters are just torn apart, blood everywhere, fucking guts. and it uses this manga kind of aesthetic. Sometimes there's like little cutscenes with like comic book panels and characters saying stuff, and it's really well made. I think the aesthetic of it's just so interesting, and yeah, bursts of unexpected violence all over these games. So yeah, it's a really fun time, but it's tough. It's really tough.
Nice.
So yeah, recommended.
Hope you enjoyed listening to our discussion. It was we covered, you know, mainly the MCU and some stuff we've been watching, but I'm sure we went a bit all over the place. But yes, we appreciate anyone who stayed for this long.
Of course, yeah. And as they say in the business, please like, share, and subscribe, because we would like to keep doing this, and we will keep doing this because we have these conversations in real life anyway. But you know, it's fun to chat about this stuff with everyone else. Please like, follow, and subscribe to keep up with all of our video content, our discussions, our reviews, our video essays, which are coming really soon. We've got interviews with filmmakers lined up, so you know, stay tuned. There's a lot of exciting stuff coming, and we hope we see you on the next PopCult show.